He called 911 to report his wife's murder. He stayed on the line. He cried. He begged the paramedics to save her. And when they couldn't, he held her hand. What nobody knew, not the dispatcher, not the paramedics, not the detective who walked into that kitchen at 2:30 in the morning, was that Cassie Mercer had already been dead for nearly 2 hours before her husband ever picked up that phone. He didn't call 911 because he found her. He called because he knew he needed to be the one who found her first. This is the story of a 911 call that broke a case wide open. Not because of what the caller said, but because of every single thing he got wrong. Tifton, Georgia, February 2019, small town, quiet streets, the kind of place where everybody knows your name and half your business. Daniel Mercer, 38, was a general contractor. Big guy, friendly, always the first to buy a round at the bar. His wife, Cassie, 35, was a dental hygienist, soft-spoken, warm, the kind of woman who left encouraging notes in her daughter's lunchbox every single morning without fail. They had one kid, a 9-year-old girl named Lily. From the outside, they looked fine. But Cassie's sister, Renee, will tell you a different story. She says Cassie had been pulling away for months, nervous in ways she couldn't explain, flinching at sounds she used to ignore. Renee had asked her point blank, "Are you okay?" Cassie said yes. She always said yes. But what Renee didn't know, what nobody knew, was that Cassie had already made a decision that was about to get her killed. 3 weeks before her death, Cassie had quietly met with a divorce attorney. She hadn't told Daniel. She hadn't told anyone. She had started moving small amounts of money, slowly, carefully, into a private account. She was building a way out. She just didn't get to use it. The call came in at 2:14 a.m. Dispatcher. 911, what's your emergency? Daniel. I need help. My wife. She's on the floor. She's not moving. There's blood. I just got home, and she's just... Dispatcher. Okay, sir, I need you to stay calm. Is she breathing? Daniel. No, I don't think so. Dispatcher. Sir, I need you to get on the floor beside her and start CPR. Can you do that for me? Daniel. Yes, okay, I'm doing it right now. Here's the thing, he wasn't doing it. Not really. Because here's something you need to understand. Cassie Mercer had been dead for nearly 2 hours. Rigor mortis had already begun to set in. Any trained responder in that room would have known instantly that CPR wasn't going to do anything. But Daniel Mercer stayed on that line for 6 minutes and 43 seconds, making sounds, saying the right words, playing the role. When the paramedics walked through that door, he was kneeling beside her, hands on her chest, tears streaming down his face. And the first responders, they did what they were trained to do. They believed him. But one person in that room wasn't so sure. Detective Lena Hargrave had been with Tift County for 14 years. She'd worked homicides, domestics, cover-ups. She would tell you she's learned to pay attention to things most people don't notice. And when she walked into that kitchen and looked at Daniel Mercer, she noticed something. He never once asked where Lily was. His daughter, 9 years old, could have been anywhere in that house, could have seen something, could have been hurt. And this man, this so-called terrified father, never asked. That one detail, that single missing question, was the beginning of the end for Daniel Mercer. The physical scene was wrong from the start. Cassie had a deep wound on the back of her skull, the kind consistent with a blunt object swung with force. There was also bruising on her neck, faint, but there. The medical examiner said it looked like someone had held her down. And then there was the chair, a single kitchen chair knocked over near the counter, positioned like she'd tripped and fallen. But the blood spatter told a different story. The pattern on the counter was too low, too concentrated. If she'd fallen, the blood would have spread differently. Someone had arranged that chair after the fact. So detectives started pulling records, phone records, bank records, and then the thing that cracked the whole case open, the smart thermostat. The Mercer home had one of those Wi-Fi thermostats, the kind that logs every time a door opens, every time motion is detected, every time someone adjusts the temperature. Boring piece of technology became the most important witness in the entire case. Here's what it showed. The front door opened at 12:31 a.m. Motion was detected in the hallway at 12:47 a.m. The front door opened again at 1:02 a.m. Daniel Mercer told police he had left the house around 11 p.m. and didn't return until just before the 911 call at 2:14 a.m. The thermostat said someone was inside that house between 12:31 and 1:02 in the morning. Cassie's time of death, midnight to 12:30 a.m. He was there. He was there the whole time. But investigators still needed more. So they pulled a gas station receipt, a Chevron station in Valdosta, 40 miles from Tifton. Daniel's debit card had been used there at 11:22 p.m. The window when he claimed he was just driving around to clear his head. Security footage from the station showed his truck. It showed him going inside, and it showed him walking back out and getting into the passenger seat. Someone else was driving. Detectives ran the plates on the camera timestamp, cross-referenced everything they had, and within 48 hours they had a name. Brooke Sadler, 29 years old. Nobody in Daniel's life had ever heard of her. No photos together on social media, no mutual friends, no public connection of any kind. But 2 months before Cassie's murder, Daniel had quietly added Brooke Sadler's name as a secondary beneficiary on Cassie's life insurance policy, $500,000. Detectives brought Brooke in for questioning. She lawyered up immediately, and then, within 24 hours, she fired the lawyer and called the police herself. What she told them changed everything. She said Daniel had been planning this for weeks. She said he told her Cassie had found out about the affair, that she were going to take Lily, take the house, take everything he had. He told Brooke the only way out, for both of them, was if Cassie was gone. Brooke said she thought he was just venting. That's what she told herself, that's what she needed to believe. But then, one night, he sat her down, and he laid out a plan, specific, detailed. He told her all she had to do was drive. On the night of February 9th, 2019, Brooke Sadler drove Daniel Mercer to his own house. She parked 2 blocks away. She sat in the dark. She waited. He was gone for less than 15 minutes. When he came back, he got in the car. He sat down. He didn't look at her. And after a long silence, he said, "It's done." Brooke didn't say anything. She drove home. And for 3 days she said nothing. 3 days while Daniel gave interviews. 3 days while he attended the vigil for Cassie, stood in the candlelight, held Lily in front of the cameras, cried on cue. It was one specific moment that broke her. During a local news broadcast, a reporter caught Daniel holding Lily, and for just a half second, just one frame, he smiled. Not a sad smile, not a relieved smile, a satisfied one. Brooke Sadler picked up the phone that night and told them everything. Daniel Mercer was arrested on February 14th, 2019, Valentine's Day. He was in the parking lot of a grocery store. He was buying flowers. At trial, prosecutors played the 911 call for the jury, all 6 minutes and 43 seconds of it. They played it slowly. They pointed out every pause, every wrong answer. Every moment, Daniel said he was doing CPR, while Cassie had already been gone for hours. The jury deliberated for less than 4 hours. Guilty, first-degree murder, life in prison, no parole. And Brooke Sadler, she pleaded guilty as an accessory to murder. 15 years, eligible for parole in 2029, 10 years after the night she sat in a dark car 2 blocks away and waited. Lily Mercer went to live with her Aunt Renee, Cassie's sister, the one who had begged her to leave. Renee doesn't talk much about the case in public, but she told one reporter just once that Lily still sleeps with the last lunchbox note her mother ever wrote her. Here's the thing that gets me every time I think about this case. Daniel Mercer made that 911 call because he thought it would protect him. He thought if he was the one who reported it, if he was the grieving husband, the man on the line, the father who held his wife and wept, nobody would ever look at him twice. And for a while it worked. But that call was recorded. Every pause, every wrong word, every lie. And it sat there, preserved, exact, undeniable, waiting for detectives who were trained to hear exactly what he didn't say. The tool he built to protect himself became the thing that destroyed him. Because here's what killers like Daniel Mercer never seem to understand. You can rehearse the grief, you can perform the tears, but you can't rehearse the instincts you never had. And the one question he forgot to ask, "Where is my daughter?" was the question that cost him everything. Thanks for watching. If this one stayed with you, it should. Drop a comment below. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you in the next one.